She may only be a child, but Princess Charlotte just proved she has the fierce spirit of her grandmother, Princess Diana. In a stunning display that left Queen Camilla completely humiliated, the young princess just drew a massive line in the sand. What happened was not some quiet, private moment tucked away behind palace walls. It played out in plain sight, captured by cameras, shared across the world, and now dissected by millions who instantly recognized the signal for what it was. Charlotte did not shout. She did not throw a tantrum. She simply refused to play the game that Buckingham Palace has been forcing on the public for years. And in doing so, she reminded everyone watching exactly where the real power in the next generation sits. The recent round of royal balcony appearances and the more intimate Easter and summer gatherings gave the world its clearest look yet at the quiet rebellion unfolding inside the family. Photographers and television crews were positioned exactly where they always are, ready to capture the carefully choreographed smiles and waves. On paper, everything looked orderly. In reality, the body language told a completely different story. When Camilla approached the group that included the Wales children, Charlotte's posture shifted in a way that was impossible to miss once you knew what to look for. Her shoulders stayed squared, her chin did not drop in the automatic deference the older generation expects. Her eyes did not seek Camilla out for the usual polite acknowledgement. Instead, she remained locked in the protective orbit of her parents, particularly her mother. The contrast was stark. Other young royals in the wider family have been trained to offer the small courtesies that keep the machine running. Charlotte offered none. Clips of those moments spread with remarkable speed. Viewers slowed the footage down, zoomed in on her face, and began pointing out the same details again and again. The way she angled her body slightly away. The way she kept physical space between herself and Camilla, even when the group compressed for photographs. The absence of the little curtsy or the soft verbal greeting that protocol still demands from junior members in the presence of the Queen. None of it was loud. All of it was deliberate. And the internet responded the way it always does when a young royal refuses to pretend. Comments poured in, calling it the Diana energy returning, the Anne energy, the quiet refusal to bow to a woman many still view as an interloper. That public stoicism did not appear out of nowhere. Behind the scenes, the tension had already been building for some time. According to accounts that have circulated among those close to the household, Camilla has grown increasingly frustrated with the Wales children. She is said to have complained directly to King Charles that the three of them simply do not treat her with the respect she believes her position requires. The complaint was not framed as a request for patience or understanding. It was framed as a demand that something be done. Charles, never one to enjoy direct confrontation inside the family, reportedly raised the matter with William. What came back was not the soft reassurance Camilla may have hoped for. William's response was clear and uncompromising. The children answer to their mother. Catherine sets the tone inside their home. They will show the basic manners expected of any well-brought-up child, but they will not be forced into a performance of affection or deference that they do not feel. In other words, Camilla holds no parental authority over them, and William has no intention of granting her any. The exchange matters because it confirms what the balcony footage only hinted at. This is not a case of a child being momentarily shy or distracted. It is a deliberate boundary drawn by both parents and now enforced by the children themselves. Charlotte, at her age, understands more than outsiders give her credit for. She has watched the careful way her mother navigates the public role while protecting the private one. She has absorbed the stories, the photographs, the quiet conversations about her late grandmother, and she has clearly decided that the woman standing in the position of queen consort is not the figure who commands her loyalty. That decision carries extra weight because of the historical echoes it creates. Princess Diana's sapphire jewelry remains one of the most potent symbols still circulating inside the family. The pieces are not merely beautiful. They are charged with memory and public affection. Charlotte is widely expected to inherit significant elements of that collection one day. When she does, the visual contrast will be unavoidable. Whatever diamonds and pearls Camilla chooses to wear will sit beside the legacy of a woman the public still regards as the people's princess. The jewelry itself becomes a silent argument. It says that the line of emotional legitimacy runs through Diana and Catherine, not through the current occupant of the consort's role. Charlotte does not need to say a word about any of that. Her posture already communicates it. William's protective stance only reinforces the message. He has been careful, almost surgical, in the way he shields his children from the older generation's expectations. Official engagements are managed so that the Wales family moves as a unit. Private time is fiercely guarded. When Camilla's name comes up in the context of the children's schedules or public appearances, the answer from William's side has been consistent. Catherine decides. The result is that Camilla finds herself locked out of any meaningful influence over the three young people who will eventually dominate the monarchy's public face. For a woman who spent decades waiting for her position to be formalized, that exclusion stings. Charlotte's visible refusal simply makes the exclusion impossible to ignore. The pattern is already establishing itself early. Charlotte is not waiting until she is 18 or 21 to decide where her loyalties sit. She is deciding now, in front of the cameras, with the full weight of her parents' support behind her. That decision carries consequences that stretch far beyond one awkward balcony moment. It signals to the rest of the family that the future Princess Royal, if that is the title she one day holds, will not be molded by the same forces that shaped the previous generation. She will carry the same independent streak that defined Diana and that still defines Princess Anne. And she will do it while knowing exactly who she considers the real queen in her life. The confrontation between Camilla and Charles did not stay private for long. Once William made his position plain, the atmosphere inside the wider household shifted in ways that became difficult to conceal. Staff who moved between the different residences began noticing small but consistent changes in scheduling and access. Requests that once might have been routed through Camilla's office for the children's appearances were now redirected straight to Catherine's team. Invitations that included the Wales family arrived with clearer boundaries attached. The message was polite on the surface and absolute underneath. The children would attend when it suited the Wales household. They would not be summoned to perform for anyone else's benefit. That boundary has held. On several occasions since the reported exchange, Camilla has been present at the same events as Charlotte and her brothers. Each time, the physical distance remained noticeable. Charlotte stayed close to her mother or to William. When group photographs required closer proximity, the young princess maintained a stillness that read as neither warmth nor hostility, simply refusal to engage. She offered the minimum required by basic manners and nothing more. Observers who study these gatherings for clues have pointed out that this pattern is now predictable. It is no longer a one-off reaction. It is policy. William's role in enforcing that policy has been decisive. He has made it clear to those around him that his children's emotional safety comes before any traditional expectation of deference. In practical terms, this means Camilla is not given private time with them. She is not consulted on their schooling, their public schedules, or the way they are prepared for larger occasions. When decisions about the children's involvement in family events are discussed, Catherine's preference is treated as final. William backs it without hesitation. The result is that Camilla finds herself in the unusual position of holding a title that once carried significant soft power over the younger generation, and discovering that power has been quietly stripped away. The effect on Charlotte has been visible. Free from the pressure to perform affection she does not feel, she has grown more confident in public settings. Her posture at recent appearances has been upright, composed, and self-possessed. She watches the adults around her with a calm assessment that many find striking in someone her age. When Camilla is nearby, that assessment does not soften into the automatic smile or greeting that protocol once demanded. Instead, Charlotte simply continues as she was, oriented toward her parents, secure in the knowledge that no one will force her to adjust. That security is itself a form of power. It tells the rest of the family that the old rules of mandatory closeness no longer apply to this particular branch. The consequences reach further than personal discomfort. By establishing so early that Camilla holds no authority over the Wales children, William has altered the internal balance of the monarchy. Future plans that once might have assumed Camilla's involvement in the upbringing or public presentation of the next generation now have to work around her exclusion. Advisors who once tried to smooth relations between the two households have largely stopped attempting it. The gap is accepted as permanent. Charlotte, George, and Louis are being raised inside a protective circle that answers only to their parents. Everything outside that circle, including the current queen consort, remains at a careful distance. This arrangement has also shaped how the public reads the family's appearances. Viewers no longer expect Charlotte to offer the same small gestures of respect that older royals once performed automatically. When those gestures are absent, the absence is noted and often celebrated. Clips continue to circulate with commentary that focuses on the quiet strength of the moment, rather than any dramatic outburst. The strength lies precisely in the lack of drama. Charlotte does not need to confront Camilla directly. She only needs to withhold the acknowledgement that would make the older woman feel secure in her position. That withholding has proven more effective than any open argument. Inside the palace, the practical results keep accumulating. Travel arrangements, seating plans, and even the order of processions at certain events have been adjusted to keep the Wales children close to their parents and away from situations that might force unwanted interaction. Staff have learned to anticipate the preference and plan accordingly. What began as a private response to a complaint has hardened into an operational reality. Camilla's influence over the three children who will one day stand at the center of the institution has been reduced to near zero, and every public appearance reinforces that fact. Charlotte herself appears entirely comfortable with the arrangement. She moves through these occasions with the same steady presence that first drew attention. There is no sign of confusion or divided loyalty. She knows exactly where she stands and who stands with her. That clarity, established so young and defended so firmly by her father, is already changing the way the next generation of the monarchy will function. The old expectation that junior members must soften themselves to suit the comfort of senior figures no longer holds inside the Wales household. Charlotte has made that plain without ever raising her voice. The public reaction to these repeated signals has been been swift and revealing. Across social platforms and comment sections, viewers have treated Charlotte's quiet stance as confirmation of something they already suspected. The monarchy's next chapter will not be shaped by the same compromises that defined the previous one. People notice when a child of her age carries herself with such clear internal boundaries. They notice the absence of forced smiles and the presence of steady composure. They notice that William never corrects or softens her posture when Camilla is near. Each of those details adds weight to the larger picture. What began as isolated moments of body language has become a consistent pattern that the public now expects, and in many cases, actively supports. That support matters because it changes the cost of any attempt to push back. If palace advisors or senior figures ever considered pressuring the Wales household to produce more visible warmth, the online response would make the effort politically expensive. Clips of Charlotte standing slightly apart, focused on her mother, continue to circulate with captions that celebrate the refusal rather than criticize it. The narrative that has taken hold is simple. A young girl is protecting the integrity of her immediate family, and her father is allowing her to do so. In an institution that has long relied on junior members absorbing discomfort for the sake of surface unity, that combination is unusual. It is also effective. Camilla's public role continues, but the private leverage she once hoped to exercise over the rising generation has evaporated. The practical effects keep compounding. School events, holiday plans, and even the quieter family gatherings that still take place are organized with the same clear priority. The Wales children remain under the direct guidance of their parents. Outside influence is limited. When larger ceremonial occasions require the full family to appear together, the seating and movement patterns now reflect the boundary that William set. Charlotte is never left in a position where she must navigate Camilla alone. George and Louis receive the same protection. The message to the rest of the household is consistent and unspoken. These three children are not available for the traditional soft power games that once bound different branches of the family together. Over time, this arrangement is reshaping expectations for the future. The day will come when Charlotte takes on more formal responsibilities. By then, the habits formed now will already be fixed. She will have grown up knowing that deference is not automatic and that loyalty runs first to the people who raised her. That knowledge will influence how she carries herself, how she chooses her causes, and how she relates to the wider institution. The same applies to her brothers. Together, they are being raised inside a unit that answers to its own center rather than to the older generation's preferences. The long-term result is a monarchy whose public face will look and feel different from the one that preceded it. None of this required a single raised voice or dramatic confrontation in front of cameras. The power of the approach lies in its restraint. Charlotte simply continues to occupy her place with calm certainty. She does not seek attention for the refusal. She does not explain it. She allows the absence of acknowledgement to speak for itself. That silence has proven louder than any speech. It has forced the institution to adjust around her rather than the other way around. William's steady defense of that silence has turned a child's natural boundary into an established family position. The contrast with earlier eras is impossible to miss, even without rehearsing old stories. Junior royals once absorbed pressure to smooth over adult tensions. Charlotte is being protected from that pressure. The difference is already visible in her bearing and in the way the public responds to it. Viewers see a young person who knows her own mind and a father who refuses to compromise it. That combination has turned ordinary balcony appearances into statements of intent. Each new gathering adds another layer to the same message. Camilla's title carries formal weight. It does not carry authority over the Wales children. As these patterns settle into permanence, the question hanging over the entire situation becomes harder to avoid. Is Princess Charlotte already the most powerful royal? Drop your truth in the comments.